All right. It's Kevin Garcia, aka the Puerto Rican Kid KG, back with the one and only Eddie Hearn. Eddie, thank you for the time. Let's get right into it. So, really exciting press conference
Yeah,
here
it was,
today.
wasn't
Yeah, it was. It got a little spicy. But since we're limited on time, I'm gonna take you through a couple of things as quick as I can here. Pacheco and Nelson. So obviously Nelson's been chasing a big fight for a while. You guys managed to help him out with making this one happen. I had to ask because with all the rumors around Bud and Canelo, theoretically, hypothetically, Bud wins against Canelo. He ties up all those belts at 168. Nelson's called out Berlanga for a long time, and they were like in different places. Could you ever see a fight with Nelson and Berlanga, seeing as you guys promote Berlanga and now you're working with Nelson?
Yeah, I mean, I think, he's got enough on his plate on Saturday night, but I think it's a very dangerous fight, to be honest with you. Like, you know how much Steve Nelson wants it, and you know that he's got a great team behind him, and Bud and Bomac have been telling me for many years about Steve Nelson, and now he gets his chance. I just think, these are the kind of fights where we're going to find out how good Pacheco is. But Pacheco, Munguia, Berlanga, maybe Nelson as well if he can pull off the upset on Saturday. I think the division's in a good place, and a lot of the guys are going to be kind of angling for that mandatory spot at Canelo Alvarez, and Diego's got it at the moment. He's number one, but the mandatory's not yet due. But if he sits there for another 6 months and gets 1 or 2 more wins, he's going to be mandatory for Canelo Alvarez, and that could be a huge fight.
No doubt. That fight, of course, the fight that is happening this weekend is Pacheco and Steve Nelson. I know Pacheco is your fighter, and obviously we're looking for Pacheco to pull this one off. But how do you see the fight going in terms of things that Pacheco will have to deal with from Steve Nelson?
I think Nelson's IQ is very, very high. And I think being in that gym with Bud and Bomac and those kind of guys, they're technically very good. I think it's going to be a very cagey, tough fight in the opening few rounds. But I think Pacheco is punching very, very hard at the moment. I think his shot selection is very good. I'm just excited to see how good he is. I've had him since he was 17 years of age. It's 5 years, and he's 22-0 now. And he's headlined in Mexico. He's headlined in Los Angeles. Now he's headlining in Las Vegas. We're building him really well, but he's still a young man. And I think beyond Steve Nelson, there's definitely one more level to go before you fight Canelo Alvarez. There might be 2 more. So we just got to get it right with him. But everything that I'm seeing, and I love the way he came out of himself today at the presser. You don't really see that from Diego. And it was good. It was a great energy in here, not just from him, but Tito Mercado and Andy Cruz. It's actually a really good card on Saturday.
Yeah. I got a little interest in here today for sure. For the sake of time, Eddie, I just want to talk to you about a couple other topics. So, Canelo, Bud, can you confirm from what you know? Bernie the boxer seemed very confident confirming to me September 13th is when we can expect that fight. Could you offer any information there?
I don't know. I mean, obviously His Excellency was on the rampage over the last 7 days, just speaking to everyone and, putting plans together for lots of different fighters. Obviously not all of those fights end up materialising, but he's got a very good success rate. So you'd have to think that there's a very good chance that fight's going to happen. I think it's a very intriguing fight, 2 generational greats. I think it's very difficult for Bud moving up that high in weight, but if anyone can do it, it might be him. His movement and his IQ is second to none. But it's different when you're facing Canelo Alvarez up there, not just at 168, but on the night, probably 180, 185. It's going to be a big task.
Yeah, for sure. What do you say to people that say that Bud should, if he really wants to fight Canelo, he should take a tough fight at 168 first?
Because it's a freak fight, isn't it? It's not, his career is not heading to 168 pounds. It's a one-off freak fight for a lot of money. That's what it is. And, after that fight, he's going to probably move back down to 154. But don't forget, I believe that physically he struggled a little bit against Madrimov. He struggled because Madrimov's a good fighter as well, but he's not really a big 154 pounder. And don't forget, he came up from 47, and before that he was at 40, and before that he was at 35. To move from 135 to 168 and win the unified world titles, that would go down as one of the great victories of all time. But Bud, he's up for the challenge.
Does it make him the GOAT or top 5 all time if he
If he
pulls
beat
that
Canelo
off?
Alvarez, I think the GOAT is always difficult.
Debatable?
But yeah. I mean, I think it would make him the best fighter of our generation if he moved up and beat Canelo Alvarez at 168.
Last question on this topic. You know, as far as Canelo and Bud, what do you think about Canelo questioning his resume? Do you think there's validity to that?
I mean, you can always criticize resumes, can't you? Like, you can say, well, this fighter at that time actually wasn't in his prime and that kind of stuff. The reality is that he's a four division world champion. He's undisputed at 40 and 47. I think his 140-pound wins probably weren't as strong as, you know, I mean, he beat everybody he had to. You know, the Errol Spence victory was obviously, but then moving to 54, Madrimov's a very good fighter as well, you know. But yeah, I mean, you can always question people's resume, but Terence is for sure one of the greatest fighters of all time.
Gotcha. Eddie, obviously we've been pressed for time here. I got to let you go, but
We'll
I do
catch
look...
up after the weigh.
Yes. Did you see Oscar's clapback?
Yeah, it was a long one, wasn't it? I mean, he really went for it. Yeah.
Do you agree with him?
I was just pleased that I had a catch up with Oscar in Saudi. We're now friends, so you know, every time the clapback comes, it's like, oh. But you know, he really went in on that one. I mean, what was it, like 4 minutes of all on Bill Haney?
Oof.
I know. So yeah.
Agree, disagree, no comment?
I like the Haneys. I like everybody. We can all get along.
Thank you, Eddie, for your time.
Cheers, mate.
Kevin, FightHype.